All right, Katie, take it away.
All right, thanks. All right, good evening. Thank you for having me. I'll be coming at you with a presentation from the perspective of Fort Collins Utilities Water Conservation Team. I'll be talking about urban water use and conservation, really high level. If you have questions about our programs and projects, feel free to ask them. Fort Collins Utilities is the largest of 3 major water districts in Fort Collins. There in blue is Fort Collins Utilities. We serve about 75% of the population of Fort Collins. In the northeast there, we have Elko Water District, East Larimer County Water District, and then to the south is Fort Collins Loveland Water District. So we have 3 major water districts. Fort Collins Utilities is the perspective I'm bringing here today. We serve about 75% of the population. We have about 36,000 accounts that we serve, so 33,000 residential, about 3,000 commercial. That includes things like businesses, schools, nonprofits, government, multifamily residential, things like that. We treat about 8 billion gallons a year, on average about 22 million gallons a day. And in our peak season, we're treating about 40 million gallons per day. So we're fortunate to have 2 sources of water supply, one from the Poudre River and the other, the Horsetooth Reservoir, which is part of the Colorado Big Thompson project. So it's nice to have this redundancy, especially when we need to pull off of one system in order to maybe let the other system cycle through bad water quality or things like that. So for example, in years where we previously had wildfires and sediment washes down into our watershed and into our Poudre River, for example, it's difficult to treat that really heavy sediment water. So that's when we'll switch to the Horsetooth supply and pull mostly off of Horsetooth in some cases. So in a given year, we pull about 50% off of either supply. One of the challenges that we have is storage, as mentioned previously. So we have a lack of storage. We have a great water portfolio, but we have a lack of storage. So if you've heard of the Halligan Reservoir project, that is a project to expand the capacity of that Halligan Reservoir to hold more water. So that project has been in process for decades in order to raise the level of that reservoir for more capacity. So some of the other challenges that we have are really climate related. When we have less snowpack or when we have warmer springs and we have early runoff, we're getting a lot more moisture coming down the hill. We can't use it fast enough and it keeps going. The challenge with that as far as water use in our community goes is that we'll have more frequent water restrictions go into place. So where water conservation comes in is trying to reduce the frequency of those water restrictions. So we'll talk more about that. So as far as utilities water use goes, on the left-hand side here is a chart that shows commercial water use, that's that blue curve, and residential water use, that's the orange curve. You can see that there's kind of that bell curve there. Anybody know what that bell curve signifies? It's pretty characteristic of most Western states. Why do we have more water use in the summer? Irrigation, yep, so we're watering our landscapes. So that's pretty characteristic of our Western states. In utilities, we use about 40% or 45% of our water goes onto our landscapes during the year. So on the right-hand side here, you can see some of those breakdowns, outdoor versus indoor, commercial versus residential. And then in that bottom pie chart there, you'll see the breakdown of different residential uses that we have in our system. So one of the ways that we track our water use over time, and that many communities track their water use over time, is by using this metric called gallons per capita per day, or GPCD. So gallons per capita per day is calculated by total treated water volume divided by population. And we set goals based on this GPCD. So back in 2015, Fort Collins set a goal to get to 130 GPCD by 2030. This chart shows our progress toward that goal. Last year we were at 139 GPCD. We are not on track to meet that 130 by 2030. If we were on track, we'd be at 138 GPCD. So, but one thing to point out, we have had reductions in GPCD in the last 20 years, especially when you look at that orange line, wherever my pointer is, but the orange line, you can see it. The orange line is increasing over time, right? But we're seeing that GPCD remains relatively stable. So we're getting more folks on our system, but we're not increasing our water use by much. So in order to kind of meet these goals, this GPCD goal, one of the ways to do that is with water conservation. So we need to sharpen our pencils and find more ways to do the same or do more with less. So that's where water conservation comes in. Karen did a great job defining these words that I've been saying and everybody else has been saying. So examples of conservation and efficiency, and then in addition to that, demand management. So water conservation, our water conservation team works together to really bring down the demand on our system, and that's what we call demand management. It's using a whole bunch of strategies and tools in our toolbox to bring that demand down. So our team, the purpose of our team is, again, demand management. We offer services and programs to help bring that demand down. The first inkling of water conservation in Fort Collins Utilities happened in 1977, and since then, here in 2023, we have 8 full-time employees on our water conservation team, and we have over 16 programs and services that we offer our users to reduce their water use. So some examples of that include really primarily focused on incentives and voluntary programs that our customers can take part in. So we have a free sprinkler assessment program that we offer to residents, owners, renters to get their irrigation systems and schedules kind of at a more efficient level. We also offer typical cash for grass type programs. Our Xeriscape incentive program offers a rebate for any area that was previously grass and replaced with WaterWise landscaping. And we also leverage our advanced metering infrastructure, so we can see the hourly water use on accounts, and we offer that service and allow our customers to access their own data to see where their water use is tracking. With that system, we can also do automated leak notifications and things like that. We are in a place where we're moving from, kind of this incentive-based and voluntary programs to maybe some more policy solutions. So one of the programs or projects I'm working on right now is update to our land use code to put some more landscape standards on our development. So that would require our outdoor landscapes to be more water smart from the start, so building those landscapes with perhaps less grass or more efficient equipment to sustain the future of a hotter and drier climate. So for context here, I will go back to the slide, so there's no spoiler here, but for context here, our water conservation program saved about 2% of our annual treated demand. About 173 million gallons is how much we measured in savings through our services and programs through the water conservation team last year. So not a small amount, but not a large amount, right? So we have a lot of work to do. There are lots of challenges, and let's call them opportunities, right? So there are those uncontrollable, pretty much uncontrollable factors like growth in population, climate, precipitation, weather, those kinds of things. There are also some of these other challenges like outdoor efficiency. So thinking about those landscape codes and requiring more efficient equipment, requiring less grass in a landscape is great, But like we say behind the scenes quite often, you can require the most efficient equipment, the most water-wise landscape, but it's the people who manage the water that can really save that water. So it's not the landscape, it's not the irrigation that's saving water, it's the people that are saving the water. So we know that pairing that with education is really, really important. So those are So we often pair those types of programs and projects with education opportunities for our community. So to kind of wrap it up here in the end, it wouldn't be 2023 on the water conservation team if we didn't mention our own water efficiency plan update that we're working through. So this is a massive project that we're undertaking here. It's the water efficiency plans were mentioned a couple times so far tonight. It's a state mandated requirement for water providers of a certain size, and we have to update that plan. It really acts as our guide to our water conservation programs and strategies. So we set goals in that plan. We identify strategies to get to those goals. One of the really exciting things I think with this update, we are engaging in modeling scenarios that will help us identify those strategies that are most effective, that will both save water and contribute or benefit some of these other shared and common goals that we have in our community, like water equity, attractive landscapes, right? We don't want to just remove the grass and replace it with rock because we're losing a ton of environmental benefit, right? Landscape provides a heat sink, it provides recreation opportunities, it provides habitat, I could go on and on, right? So we really need to balance the strategies that we select in our water efficiency plan to make sure that we are moving forward in a way that our community is really on board with as well. So I think that is it for me. That's my last slide. So looking forward to questions and comments.
Thank you, Katie. All right, do we have any clarifying questions for Katie before we move to, I'll have my panelists go back to their mics, and I'm gonna remind them right now when they speak into them, press the green button. All right, so there's some questions in back. Go ahead.
So how big a customer is the city of Fort Collins? And is there, what's being done from the customer point of view to be more efficient? And have you measured what the city has done to reduce its own water use?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I will say that there has been some measurement and some effort toward water efficiency, especially in our parks and our golf courses. There have been massive projects to overhaul irrigation systems that have aged out and are wasting significant amount of water. So there are efforts and master plans to replace irrigation systems. So that's one measurable kind of improvement there. With our water efficiency plan update, we are looking to really set those goals within the plan for our municipal water use as well.